The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Are the Canucks good? Are they bad? I'm confused. And you know what? I haven't been this confused since my girl left me for another girl. What?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy Monday and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we get into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're nothing without you, the fans, but we're also nothing without the sponsors, okay? Because today's episode, again, is brought to you by Gametime. Go download that Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. The Vancouver Canucks, okay? Since we last reconvened here on Locked On Canucks during the week, they played a couple of games, and both on home ice, and both, I think, left a lot to be desired. Kyle and I met up on Friday night at the sports bar at Rogers Arena, did the post game after a really lackluster performance against the BJs. How can you have a lackluster performance against the BJs? Okay, come on, who can do that to the BJs? Unbelievable. And then, of course, the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, another lackluster effort. So as you look at the standings right now, sure, the Canucks, they look like they're in a good spot, right? You know, they're in the third in the Pacific Division, a point percentage of a .615, 14-8-4 record. But they might be the most confusing team in the NHL so far this season. Let's get into why they're so confusing and if they are, in fact, the most confusing team in the NHL. We'll also touch on JT Miller's return to the lineup. Again, reports suggesting that he will be back at practice on Wednesday. Do they come from a reputable source, though? We'll also get into more about the weekend that was for the Abbey Canucks, including Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, and, of course, the Goats of the Week. And I'm by myself right now, but Kyle Bhawan will join me shortly here on Locked On Canucks. But let's get into it. Your Vancouver Canucks, okay? For a lot of reasons, I think they're the most confusing team in the NHL. And I'm just going to start with the home versus the road record. And there's a lot of things about this team that doesn't make sense so far this season. But the home road record to me stands out above all else. I mean, they are 4-6-3 at home now. 4-6-3 at home. And honestly, they were damn lucky to steal that game from the Columbus Blue Jackets again. A not very good team, and the Canucks were asleep at the wheel for most of the first 40 minutes, but they somehow, someway end up in a 2-2 tie going into the third and win that game. And a bit of a similar story against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, they were not tied after two. They were trailing 2-1 going into the third, and it's like that was the moment they finally started to get their ish together. And let us know what you think if you're watching on YouTube Live in the comments or listening after the fact. This Canucks team, are they the most confusing team in the NHL? And what is with them? Again, just kind of picking it up in the last 20 minutes. Like, I have a theory that this team, based on what they did last season, maybe they thrive a bit more on playing under pressure. And, this was a Canucks team in the past that and this is under different coaching staffs, but with this same core, that when the pressure moments were on, again, after the 2020 bubble run in the North Division season, in the Boudreau era, in the Tocchet era, once the new coaches were hired and all of a sudden they're out of the race, then they were fine when there was no pressure. But when the team was under pressure, early in the Boudreau tenure, at the end of the Green tenure, the team wasn't so good out of the gates, right? And that was a big thing. I wonder if they do play a bit better under pressure now, because it seems like in games right now, they don't get it together until they go down by a goal or they have a lackluster first period. I mean, I think it's been really a stretch of a few games now where they've been bad in the first period. Going back to the road trip against the Wild. I mean, that was a great game by the Canucks overall, but they were not great in the first period. And then the same thing against both Columbus and Tampa over the last two games. So the inconsistency is a little bit hard to fathom. The home road record is a little bit hard to fathom. And the analytics, a lot of the time, call me a nerd, right? But a lot of the time, I do feel like the analytics and the eye test do marry and match each other. And right now, you're seeing the Canucks, again, with one of the lowest expected goals against averages in the NHL at even strength, despite the fact that on a nightly basis, we're watching a pretty bad defense, in my opinion. I don't think they're great. Maybe pretty bad's a bit strong, but they're not quite the same defense that we saw last season. But again, I think those are the negatives that are in my mind in terms of why this team is confusing. I think there are a lot of positives to take away, obviously, right? And the fact that this team has been able to weather the storm without Demko, without Pettersson for the first month in terms of his performance, without Miller, without Besser, it does say a lot. So there are positives to take away. But at the end of the day, this is a team that, to me, and I've had this concern really since the first couple weeks of the season, right now this team just isn't really scaring anybody. I mean, Quinn Hughes, when he's on the ice, he's a scary dude. He'll put up the points. But right now the Canucks are a good team that works hard, but they're not scaring anybody. And I think, again, when you're a team like the Canucks that entered the season with Stanley Cup aspirations, you should be scary. You should be scaring teams on a nightly basis. And, maybe we will get back there with the return of JT Miller. But again, banking on Miller and Demko, who are big parts of this team, but Miller obviously going through some personal stuff. Thatcher Demko also hasn't really played games consistently since February of last season. Again, there are reasons to be optimistic about the Canucks turning things around, but right now they do just seem like a mid-team, a hard-working team that's kind of stuck in the middle, and that's not where you want to be in the NHL. And maybe I'll throw to my co-host Kyle Bhawan now as he hops on here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. Kyle, I did a lot of venting here in the first few minutes of the show about why the Canucks are confusing with the road home record, with the lack of consistency, but the fact that they've also battled some adversity in terms of the guys who are missing from the lineup. What concerns you most about this team, and should Canuck fans be worried that this is a mid-team, or do you still have hope that they can get back to that Stanley Cup contender level that was expected of them earlier on in the season?
Trevor, the sun is shining, man.
It's not really shining where I am. I want to be where you are, man. It's not shining in Surrey today.
Look at the comment from Matt Folger, okay? Canucks fans are going through some personal stuff right now. We might have to take a break from this team. Yo, just relax, guys. Chill out. It's all good. The sun is shining. We're picking, we're still up there in the Pacific Division standings. We're missing some pieces. And bro, we still have really, really, really good goaltending. And it's only game like 25, right? I feel as if if this team is still picking up points the way they're picking up points when it's like game 65, game 70, then yeah, I'll honestly say like, this team's not a contender. We're gonna make the playoffs. Maybe a goaltender will win us around, but we're not going deep because we just need to get way better. But on that note, there's still room for this team to be comfortable in the standings, not feel stressed out, right? Not be in panic mode, right? Trying to scramble back into the top 3, the top 8 in the West and whatnot, all while trying to develop their game. Like, I think there's room for this team to, again, stay where they are in the standings for a long time and, just get to work at practice. A lot of this has to do with Tocchet, right? Like, Tocchet's got to learn how to Tocchet on a different level, I guess, because overall, and bro, you got to kick it back to like last February and last like March too. Like the Canucks have just taken a dip in their play, a dip in their dominance. Like you could argue that they've been like mid for like, almost like 10 months, right? Like they got to step it up. There's another gear in them. And that's a hard thing to find. It really is for a team that just learned how to win. But again, if they continue to get good goaltending, they can do so. And again, find that level with a bit more comfortability, less stress. And Trevor, they can do so because they do have a lot of top-end talent. Again, they have Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is playing the best hockey of his career. He's so good. He's so dynamic. Like, I just feel as if there still is a recipe for this team to be really, really, really good this year, but they got a lot of work to do, and they got to get some new faces in the building. But hey, there's still time.
And Kyle, I kind of wondered too how much you think that all the new offseason additions give the Canucks maybe a bit of a rationale or an excuse for a slow start out of the gate. I mean, how much do you buy into that? Because when I look at this team too, on the blue line, there wasn't a lot of major additions. There's more major losses than major additions. But it was like Soucy and Myers get more elevated roles and whatnot. And then up front, you get quite a few new additions, right? Jake DeBrusk started slow, but now like you got Jake DeBrusk and Kiefer Sherwood coming on. Heinen still looking for his spot in the lineup. I mean, how much do you think all the new additions play into the slow start for the Canucks? And do you really buy that as an excuse at all?
Okay, is it a slow start or just a really inconsistent start? Like I captioned this video incredibly inconsistent. Because even in those chaotic, slow moments where this team looks like they've taken a step back, there are like moments of brilliance, right? Like you got to give this team a lot of credit for the amount of fight they do show. And like, again, that's pretty incredible that they can come back. That's a sign of a really, really good team. Now, to answer your question, though, how much do all the new players have to do with this? Yeah, that's the biggest reason. That's the biggest reason, because this team was going into this season way worse defensively on paper. And then also chose to spend a lot of their time in September, and rightfully so. I was on this wagon. Let's step it up. Let's play more offensive. But again, they chose to take a more offensive approach to philosophy, right? And implementation again in September, maybe even in August too. So you put those two things together, three things: new faces, not having Ian Cole, Zadorov, replacing them with Desharnais and Forbert. You know what I'm saying? And Brandstrom, and you got these new faces, and let's just learn how to play offense again. I think we kind of were in line to kind of show this, and that's like just overall inconsistency and unawareness. But Trevor, like, again, don't you think there is a gear in this team that is elite and that they have been showing? But the problem is it's only shown when they're down by a goal, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So since we've seen that gear consistently, ironically, game in and game out for like 10 to 15 minutes, again, that's not a measure of an elite team. But the fact that I'm seeing that, it's just like, how do we get that throughout the game in larger spurts? And if we do that, then the Canucks can be a puck dominant team, a dominant puck retrieving team. They got skill in every line. Like if Pettersson's going, if Miller's going, and Garland's going, they can attack you in different ways. If Quinn Hughes is playing half the game, like there's a way for this team to generate more offense, to be more in line with being the better team in the game. They just have to be more consistent. Now that's the problem. And Trevor, like, again, you want to talk about being inconsistent and setting the tone for that inconsistency. This team has been so bad in the first period all season long. Like, they got to start there. You know what I'm saying?
So, Kyle, on the other side, I think what we got to do is, that consistency that you bring to the bedroom, what can the Canucks learn from that, okay? Because sometimes, we all start off slow, man, but sometimes it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish, baby.
Whoa.
But on the other side, I do want to talk about which other teams around the NHL have been confusing. Like, are the Canucks actually the most confusing team in the NHL? So let's kind of, like, again, I like to, take the wider lens and some aspects of the NHL. I want to talk about JT Miller's return when we think he might be back. Jonathan Lecker-Mackey as well. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after we shout out our friends over at Mint Mobile and Gametime. All right, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for just $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk, text, and delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring together your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is. Easy, baby. Just switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnhl. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right. Well, Kyle and I, we did not go to the Canucks game on Friday night, and it was looking like a good call for the first 2 periods. But we did think about getting those tickets, and that the only app we were using is Gametime, okay? And I checked out the other apps, okay? Gametime, they came through. They came through with the best deals, okay? I think at the end of the day, Kyle, I just wanted to save a few buckaroonies and just catch a beer at the bar, man. And my first time at the sports bar at Rogers Arena, a good time. But if you're on Gametime, again, they got this new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And you got to use Gametime because they got the all-in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. They got the seat view, so you can be on the toilet and feel like you're at Rogers Arena or wherever you want to go see a show. And again, they got that lowest price guarantee, baby. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Go download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Tell Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. You're confusing Vancouver Canucks. Hey, you're inconsistently incredible Vancouver Canucks. It's been a one hell of a season so far. But hey, we're still in the mix, Canucks fans, and I got to talk to myself sometimes in the mirror. I get emotional after losses. It is what it is. You'll always get that here on Locked On Canucks. Hit the subscribe button and the like button. Okay, but I got to remember that, like, we just started winning games. We're still in the mix, very much so. Like, again, I would put I'd even use the word comfortable. I'm comfortable where I am in the standings, considering, all of the above, the Joshua injury, the Miller absence, the Besser injury, Demko, right? We're so grateful and lucky that Lankinen has replaced Thatcher Demko. Straight up. Like, you think Demko's going to help this team out? Maybe, because he's going to give Lankinen more rest. That's how good Lankinen is playing, right? Pedersen was missing for a lot of the season. Like, there's a Hronek, like, I'm good. Got to wake up feeling grateful. We still got a chance, and there's so much season left to be great. And last time I checked, I just feel as if, the Florida Panthers, before they went to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 seasons ago, were really confusing in the beginning of the year too. And they have a lot of top end talent. Point. And Trevor, I want to touch on this too. Like, I know I brought his name up too earlier and talked about, oh yeah, we're gonna be fine. We just need to practice more. And Lankinen and Demko, they're gonna get us a lot of points. And oh yeah, Quinn Hughes is gonna make sure we win some games too. And I'm not joking. I think Quinn Hughes is like Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James 2016. I think that's the year. Like, I think he's that dominant right now, bro. Straight up, he is so good. And the best way to put it is actually not by bringing up LeBron James. It's by bringing up Connor McDavid and maybe Nathan McKinnon. Like, for real. Like, anytime this guy has a puck on his stick, things happen. He dictates the play. He's trying to score a goal. He's trying to make ish happen and ultimately help this team win. And again, I think the Canucks are gonna make the playoffs. Like, anyone that's watching this right now, you're stressed out. You think this team is gonna collapse. Like, yo, relax. We're in a good position. I know we got to get a lot better, but it doesn't get a lot better than having Quinn Hughes, the alpha, the dog, the guy who wants to win every game, be on your team.
Man, oh man, Quinn Hughes. So they gotta come up with the version of Quinn Hughes, like LeBron James, Quinn Hughes. Good old Jim Benning. I mean, shout out to Jim Benning getting the job done. But Quinn Hughes does give me hope for the rest of this hockey team, Kyle. But it's got to be more than that, because
there you go, Trevor. How much sleep did he get? I'm actually being serious. Like, that's how good this guy is right now. I don't give an ish. There's only two better hockey players. Like, okay, you know what? Maybe you won't be thinking like that if we see him dominate against Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon in a handful of days. Like, maybe you'll be convinced, but I just feel as if the Canucks are not going to slip in the standings based on, again, good goaltending and Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, not slipping in the standings is one thing, but actually being a Stanley Cup contender to me is another. And that was the bar going into the season, right? And I think the Colorado Avalanche are a perfect example. And I don't want to call them one of the most confusing teams in hockey, because I think it's clear that it's been injuries and bad goaltending that have them outside of the playoff picture right now. But the Colorado Avalanche, again, have Nathan frickin' McKinnon, who arguably could be the MVP this year. They also got Cale Makar, who is also on a level similar to Quinn Hughes, and they are still out of the playoff picture, right? So, again, I look at this Canucks team, and, they've been buoyed by the fact that they have Kevin Lankinen in the net, and he's done the job and then some for this team. But to get to that contender level, there's got to be more from the rest of the lineup. And right now, I want to believe that JT Miller's going to come back, and in a couple of weeks, it's going to be all good. And I think that actually could be the case for the Vancouver Canucks. That's an easy get out of jail free card in a sense, because right now you look at the Canucks lineup, and I know Suter's played above his head, shooting 23%, and Garland's been good and Sherwood's been good, but it's just not a lineup that scares a lot of teams right now. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. And is it Elston or like Barnaby Jones on Discord talking about everything that you just talked about? Like, the Canucks are not a scary team right now. They aren't. And let's be honest again. We over here on the West Coast smoking that West Coast bias, man. We love what the Canucks did last year. We look at the top end talent. We look at, we have a Vezina guy. We have a Norris guy. Let's go win a cup, But Vegas and their fans ain't scared of us. The Oilers and their fans ain't scared of us. It's just the way it is. We just got to the dance, okay? And again, we're being inconsistent. And also, again, Trevor, not to poo-poo on the Miller thing. I want to be positive here. Like, yeah, great. Miller's going to come back and we're going to be a lot better. But for the next 7 weeks, if Alvin doesn't make a trade, it's Noah Juleson, who's been playing better, but Noah Juleson, Vincent Desharnais, Tyler Myers, Eric Brandstrom, Carson Soucy, all behind Quinn Hughes. Like, again, you got mad at me for saying this a couple weeks ago, but you could argue that the Canucks have one of the worst decors in the league. Like, and that was when Hronek was in the lineup, based on how those other individuals were playing outside of Eric Brandstrom. And now that we need Desharnais to play every game, it's like, dude, it's hard. It's hard out here, man. It's going to be tough. And I think for the Canucks to, again, survive in the standings and be more, stay in comfort, good goaltending. And okay, if you want to not just put it on the shoulders of Quinn Hughes, it's like elite individual efforts. Okay, Patterson, Miller, and Hughes. And again, they can be up there in the standings, but as a team, again, the way they're constructed and especially the way they're playing, just, they're not the most fiercest of teams. But again, Trevor, just to make it a little positive now, okay? All right? Feisty. Never out of it. Never out of it. And if you don't take the Canucks seriously and you have a 2-goal lead, bro, we're going to make a comeback. Or we're going to try. Yeah. Even yesterday, Trevor, not to steer away from everything you want to talk about in the segment, but, again, the Canucks didn't play their best game. They played better in the third last night, or yesterday afternoon. Kucherov and Gensel connect for that weird game winner with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. There's an opportunity there for the Canucks to crumble. And after that, what do? They got chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. Like, literally, I think I'm right. I think they had 6 scoring chances, maybe 5, maybe 4, but they didn't back down. And I'm waking up this morning feeling a little, okay, you know what? This team has balls. They're not playing full 60 minutes yet, and they probably can't, considering who's on defense for them. But again, with good goaltending and the ability to just stick around with that elite talent, there's a chance here still for the Canucks to do great things. I believe in that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, like, throughout the years here, over the past 10 years plus, like, when the Canucks have been down by a goal, even in the second period, I'm like, yeah, this team's not coming back, right? You just never had that belief. And I have that belief now. Like, they could be down by a couple in the third.
Oh, yeah.
And I have the belief in this team to come back. Now, they're not going to come back every time, but again, the times have changed in Vancouver. It is a better team, but I'm just hungry to see this team get back to Stanley Cup contender level.
Me too.
And not just be in that mushy middle where it seems like they are right now. And Miller and Demko, I mean, easy answer, could make the difference. But again, you're banking on a guy who is gone for we don't know what reason. And then a guy in Demko who's been gone for almost a year now, right? Pushed in February was the last time he played games full time. So a lot to bang for the Canucks. Just quickly before we cut to break, in terms of are the Canucks the most confusing team in the NHL? I think for us, in terms of watching the game, I think that's certainly the case. I think people see the record and go like, yeah, no, the Canucks they're not bad, but just kind of digging under the hood for some the Canucks for some other teams. I saw it in the comments. The Rangers, to me, are the team that stands out as one of the most confusing. And Nashville will be up there too, again, with their lackluster start. Another team I'd throw out there is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, again, record-wise, they're fine. But if you look under the hood, the Leafs have kind of been not great, and they've been buoyed by good goaltending, which is something that has never really happened in Toronto. To me, Minnesota's also been confusing. Winnipeg's been confusing on the good side. Like, how do these mid teams go to being, contender status early on? And then probably at the bottom of the table as well, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who we just saw. I mean, like, not just last night, but their numbers overall, like, they actually control play more than you think. They are still a young team, not a great team. As we saw on Friday night, like, they just can't close out the games, but just everything about that team. And again, they got a lot of prospects, good prospects who have yet to make the show. The BJs, they might be even more important than home base in a couple of years from now, man. Unbelievable.
Damn. No, well, the Columbus Blue Jackets will play with a lot of effort, and I think that's why they're able to, compete in games, have the puck a lot. And to circle back on the Canucks and the word effort, that's the annoying part for me. It's this team's inability, and I think Alvin touched on this too with with this whole humble comment about the Vancouver Canucks, right? I feel as if this team isn't desperate enough, like they have maybe a little bit too much confidence in the beginning of games where they're not focused on working hard the whole way through. You know what I'm saying? Because again, when this team's down a goal, they start working hard, and this team and all the best teams do this. This is not just like like a cliche. It's just like, even the elite teams just work harder than you, right? And the Canucks have to just realize that. Like, don't focus on outskilling everyone and doing this and that. It's again, getting to work, being hard on the forecheck, going through people, not trying to go around people, just little things. And their inconsistency with the sweat and the effort and the grit is just annoying. Cause again, we don't see it early on, but we see it at the end. All that being said, let's touch more on this on the third segment, but bro, and like, honestly speaking, bro, I want to see Mark Friedman on the lineup, bro. Like, I want to see this team. I know he's not like the best puck mover, but he's so much better than moving the puck than Vincent Darnay. And it's the little details in the game that the Canucks are missing. And I'm not sure they can find those details if Myers and Darnay are playing a lot of minutes in their top six every game. And like, I'm trying not to say Juleson too, but okay. Anyways, I'll shut up.
All right. On the other side, we'll pick up the rest of Kyle's brain. Pick up the rest of Kyle's thoughts, and we'll also touch on the goats of the week from last week. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after shouting out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, ho, ho, ho. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place, baby. When soon you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view that live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. I'm just going to throw this out in the atmosphere, Kyle, because my Seahawks, they won again. They're 8-5. They're looking good in the NFC West. Your Packers, a good chance that they're going to be a wild card team. I think, and I know you're going to the game on next Sunday.
I'm getting kicked out of that game. There's no other team I hate more than the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm going to Seattle. I'm getting kicked out of that game. Okay, honestly, I'm joking, but you never know. 5 shotguns drinking the beers before I get into the building, okay?
I'm just saying, man, I think there's a chance that my Seahawks and your Packers meet up in January. Again, I can't wait to bet on that. Again, go check it out. If you're betting, visit FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch to make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs, doing us. I'm trying to stay positive. Trevor's trying to be a cynic, a critic right now. That was me yesterday. Like, again, I'm all over the place with the Vancouver Canucks. Again, if you watched every episode or are in the Discord, you know the deal. I'm just emotional, okay? It is what it is. Straight up. Now, I want to get to this comment, though. This, again, Elston Gunn. This guy's all over the place. I don't know, man. We need a third member on the show. Elston Gunn, send in your resume, okay? Think about this. He's breaking down the signs. He's guaranteeing that the Canucks will always have great goaltending for the rest of the season, and he's done it because of the details, okay? Look at this. Good news is goaltending will give us a chance to win every game for the remainder of the season. That inner goalie competition is going to be fun to watch, a.k.a. Thatcher Demko has seen Kevin Lankinen do his thing, okay? Like, giving this team Thatcher Demko-like goaltending. Demko wants to come back, and he wants to be that #1 goaltender. You already know it. I know he's got this knee injury and whatnot, and he may want to be careful, but he also wants to just be that guy. Kevin Lankinen playing out of his mind is so good for this team because I don't believe Thatcher Demko is going into that net playing it safe. He's going to do whatever it takes to be Vezina good because he knows the guy behind him is deserving of almost every start this team plays, or every game this team plays this season. So again, I guarantee that Lankinen and Demko will continue. I don't know what the fantasy stats are saying about the Canucks goaltending, but I guarantee that those two are going to keep the Canucks in games the whole way through. And because of that, the Canucks are making the playoffs. Like, we are going to have Vezina-like goaltending the rest of the way. And I'm excited. And it's because it's going to be because of Kevin Lankinen, but it's going to be a guarantee. I know a lot of people are pessimistic about Thatcher Demko's return. I guarantee Demko's going to come back to form. And it's not because of the work that was done on his knee. It's because he knows that Lankinen is that guy right now, and he doesn't want to lose to him. It's okay to say that.
I love it, man. I think this is a perfect segue into our Monday segment called Goats of the Week. All right, and I think this is the perfect segue because, Kyle, we're in week 8 of the season in terms of doing Goats of the Week, and for the first time this season, Kevin Lankinen is the number one goat of the week for your Vancouver Canucks. And
Mm,
again, the Canucks did lose. They went 1-1-1 this week. Overtime loss to the Wild, a win over the BJs, and then a loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But you couldn't fault Kevin Lankinen in any of those games. I thought he was fantastic in the Wild game. Really gave the team a chance in that one, especially in stretches early on when they weren't great. Obviously, completely shut the door and kept the Canucks in a game they did not deserve to win against the BJs. And then on Sunday against Tampa, a couple of the goals he lets in are just, some of the best players in the league getting it past him. And again, not getting a lot of help from his defense. But Kevin Lankinen absolutely deserves the love, deserves the flowers. I wish the team could help him out more on home ice. I guess they did so on Friday. But again, for me, Kevin Lankinen, it was the goat of the week. And the only one who was even close to him, in my opinion, was Quinn Hughes. On the week, at even strength, 5 goals for, 2 goals against. Leads the Canucks in terms of possessions, although all Canucks were underwater last week. It wasn't a great banner week in terms of possessing the puck. But man, oh man, I think Quinn Hughes, again, just some warrior type stuff on Sunday, having the fat lip and going back out there and scoring a goal. And I saw a comment, I think, from Amphimous, and he was saying that someone was commenting that Quinn Hughes was soft for putting on the bubble. That was one of the least soft things I've ever seen. In fact, I was rock hard watching that, man. Unbelievable stuff from Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, dude. Come on. Okay, you know what, bro? If you're a Canucks fan, and again, Quinn Hughes makes a mistake on the third goal. Let's be honest and let's be real. Has 2 chances to get the puck deep. Doesn't do so, right? Trying to make a play, or maybe the bubble's in the way. Who knows? But he doesn't get it deep. The Canucks get confused on a change. Next thing you know, the Canucks take a too many men penalty, and boom, the game's over. All that being said, I don't give an ish. The way this guy's playing right now, warrior mindset, sure. You can never talk ish about Quinn Hughes. If you're talking down on Quinn Hughes and you're a Canucks fan, I feel as if you got to get your eyes checked for real, because he's doing whatever it takes. He's doing whatever it takes, to the point where the team's not even letting him practice sometimes, because it's like, yo, we've been playing you so much. And I just, again, such a treat to watch. And and one more note on the Kevin Lankinen thing, Trevor. Again, everything's happening for a reason for the Canucks. And Lankinen, who's never been a starter before, he's gonna continue to play at his pace, because Demko's gonna provide him competition, but also provide him rest. Straight up. I don't doubt that UFA Kevin Lankinen is taking a step back too. No chance.
Yeah, he's been a hugely important piece to the Vancouver Canucks. And again, if he's in some kind of timeshare with Demko when he comes back, if that's needed, I think the Canucks are still going to be in a good spot. Gone are the days of the goalie graveyard. To wrap up the goats of the week, at number 3, I have Connor Garland. This week, Kyle, only 3 players played more than Connor Garland, and of course, all defensemen: Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers, and Quinn Hughes. Connor Garland averaged 20 and a half minutes per game for the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, that's kind of goes under the radar. Like, he's almost in a sense become the Canucks' number 1 forward, especially at even strength. And oh, by the way, he was not on the ice for a goal against at even strength this week either. So he was number 3 on my list. At number 4, I have Pius Suter. He gets 2 goals, 3 assists, playing 18 and a half minutes per game. And oh, by the way, he was getting crushed in the faceoff circle up until this week, where he won 58% of his faceoffs. So a bit of improvement there as well. And at number 5, I have Jake DeBrusk. I think Jake DeBrusk, especially in the game that you and I watched, the Columbus game, he made some plays in that game. Again, early on when the team was getting dominated, he was in there physically, set up Besser, set up Pettersson for some glorious chances, then of course scores as well against the Blue Jackets. But finished the week with 2 goals. It was not a great week for that DeBrusk, Pettersson, Besser line that I wanted to see. I'm eating it on that one. But DeBrusk himself actually thought I had a not bad week overall compared to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm trying to figure out who I might switch over for DeBrusk, but it's hard because he's doing the hardest thing, and that's scoring goals, right? Straight up.
And I don't know if anyone this week was great. Like Kiefer Sherwood gets in there with a couple of goals. He gone quiet for a bit, so Kiefer Sherwood's kind of in the list.
That's so funny. He's gone quiet. It's like, bro, he's doing everything he can. Like, how much are we paying him? He's not going to be, again, if he was Kiefer Sherwood October and November all season long, this guy would make Team Canada. Like, he'd be the next Brandon Hagel or something. Like, there's no way that he's just not that guy. It's okay though. Save some of that energy for the playoffs. I there was moments where I liked Soucy's game. There was moments where I also liked Juleson's game too. But yeah, like not too much to pick from as far as really being pleased by the efforts all the way through. I'll say 2 more things before we get out of here. A lot of Pettersson hate in the Discord right now. People not liking the 2 periods of inconsistency, right? Or not the 2 periods, the 2 games, right? Columbus, Tampa, invisible. I'll say that he's been invisible. Not good enough. and that's gonna stop ASAP. I agree with that. Just at home ice, Pedersen. People are Christmas gifts. Okay, to come watch you play, do something, help this team win. And Trevor, like I was just reading Michael Anauer. Well, what's the owner of the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, Michael Anauer, I believe. Yeah.
Or whatever. Okay, he dropped a comment about putting out the fires to the Brady Kachuk trade rumors and like the negativity that can come from that and how unnecessary those things are too, because these are people as well. Rick Tocchet talked about how this team had to shut down the noise over the last week or so, and he was proud of their efforts in Detroit and Buffalo and etc. and how they got wins and how they handled the Minnesota game. And again, he credited this team to blocking out the noise. Well, again, like circling back to this, like, man, like it doesn't do your team like the team you cheer for, right? If there's any BS rumors about this team, like JT Miller possibly on the trade block, and because of emotion, you're entertaining that, and then you're sharing it on the internet, or you want clicks and reports, that's just bad energy. Okay, again, I've read too much Deepak Chopra to not think that stuff actually matters, especially when those rumors that are now being talked about are so false, aka so evil. So when I see the Canucks be inconsistent for a couple games, I'm not saying the rumors like hurt the team and whatnot and slowed them down, but it's just like they have to deal with a lot on top of missing a ton of players, and then they have to deal with that, like that confusion, the stink of that. Like it again, just watch what we say about the team you cheer for, or in other terms, the team that like helps provide a career for you, because the click shouldn't matter too much for real. You never put yourself and your views and your your monetary gain from banter get in the way of, again, what's more important here, and the individual, the team, and the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they're the most important part of this puzzle, man, for real. They provide so much for us, and excited to have JT back, and credit for the Canucks getting through that, because that was some noisy stuff.
Yeah, 100%, man. Could have said it better myself. The Canucks are excited to get JT back, and we're excited to be doing this show for you, Locked On Canucks, whether you're an everyday or an occasional listener, a first-time listener, a new subscriber, or you join us on the live show on YouTube. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. Demko back tomorrow. Potentially, we'll touch on that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Canucks as the Canucks battle the Blues tomorrow night. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Peace.